Bienvenidos, señoras y señores y los pecaditos or fishies, to episode 8 of Layumacubana. Today's topic, travel and packing tips for Cuba, my country. I just landed in Havana last week and wanted to share this while it's still very fresh in my mind. So grab something to write with and on and let's get crack-a-lackin'. We'll begin with the flight reservation. Find the hub that is nearest to you. For example, earlier this year, I flew out of Los Angeles, California, LAX, on a non-stop flight into Havana, Cuba on Alaska Airlines. This time around, I flew out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida on JetBlue. There's also the option of flying out of Miami. You know, the other Havana. As an American, the visa should cost anywhere between $50 to $100, and there are 12 categories from which you can choose. Pick the one that is most befitting to your intention while you're here, whether that be journalism, people to people is a very common one, or if like myself, you have family who lives here, you can pick that one as well. Your medical insurance may be included as part of your airfare. Make sure that you confirm that with whichever airline you're traveling with. Packing. For those generous souls who like to bring gifts and distribute them to the local people whenever you visit a third world country, here are some suggestions. Snacks, individually wrapped ones. The other day I busted out with a fruit roll-up and these two men were just staring at me while I simultaneously consumed and unraveled it, and they finally asked, Mijita, ¿qué cosa es eso? What is that? And I'm like, es fruta, it's fruit. Mind completely blown. They found the treat to be delicious, and at the same time were disappointed that things of such simplicity are not available here. Clothing. You can either bring clothes that no longer fit you, or you can wear the clothing for the duration of your trip and then give them away at the end. This will also create space in your luggage for any souvenirs. Bars of soap, travel-size shampoo and conditioners, any kind of toiletries such as this are welcomed and can be easily found in a dollar store. Toilet paper in Cuba does not go in the toilet. It goes inside the wastebasket. And it is not common in public restrooms. So for this reason, I brought a couple of rolls from the States with me and parsed out for individual usage. I placed them inside a Ziploc bag and I carry it around with me in my purse. I follow it up with some hand sanitizer or wipes and you'll be good to go. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask that you put on your earmuffs for about 20 seconds while I address the ladies. La 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 la. Señoras, señoritas, y señoritas de la nariz. If you even so much as think that the Reds are going to come into town and play while you're in Havana, bring whatever feminine products of your preference along with you. Pads are easy enough to come by, however tampons, not so much. Cups haven't even been discovered here. Even if you don't need them during your trip, you can always donate them at the end. Comida, or food. For those of you, like myself, who have the potential of becoming hangry, which is a combination of hunger and anger,
bring the food to soothe the beast.
For your sake and for the sake of everyone around you. Protein bars, dried fruits, oatmeal, granola, nuts, soup in a box. Taste the soup! What's wrong with the soup? Taste the soup! Where's the spoon? Aha! Since I'll be here for a longer period of time, I also brought packets of tuna since they weigh less than that of cans, and a small plastic bottle of mayo. Yes, you'll be able to procure food when you're here. However, I find it to be super helpful if I don't feel like leaving the house or if I want to eat before I leave, to have food that is familiar to me on reserve. Copia de la pasaporte, or a copy of your passport. Keep the hard copy or printout separate from the actual passport. As another form of backup, you can also take a picture of it with your cell phone and send it in an email before leaving the States. Now, the U.S. Embassy has recently reduced its workforce here in Havana. However, there are still people on staff to assist Americans. In theory, they should have a record of all U.S. passports, but it makes the process of retrieving that record a lot easier if you have a picture or at least know the number. Voltage. If you are coming from America, you needn't bring a converter. Cuba utilizes the same 120 volts for electricity as is used in the States. Funds. U.S. debit and credit cards will not work here in Cuba. So you will have to estimate a budget for yourself based on your spending habits and any activities you might partake in. I strongly suggest that you book as much of your accommodation online as possible because this will reduce the amount of cash that you need to have on hand. With respect to a budget, it is best to overestimate rather than underestimate. The last thing that you want to do is run out of cash in Cuba because those Western Union lines can become mighty long. Exercise. For those of you like myself who need it to stay sane, if you're staying anywhere near a malecón or the seawall, I sometimes wake up early and go for a run alongside of it. There will be other people doing the same thing, and so it feels less awkward to me than going to run in the city, although that is a viable option as well. On some days, the sea can be quite turbulent, making the entire sidewalk a potential splash zone. As you're running, be cautious of where you're stepping for any cracks, flopping fish, or makeshift fishing lines. The point being with what to bring is, I have a couple of running shorts that have the zipper compartment in the back. So I stick the house key in there, some cash. You can also stick your cell phone inside of there too, in case you use it for music or you want to take some photos along the way. Podcast. The first handful of Layumacubana episodes are based on Cuban history as it relates to the US. It was through learning about these monumental events and actually getting a chance to visit some of the places where they transpired that it heightened my appreciation for being here in Cuba all the more. You can listen to them before leaving the States, or you can download them and listen while you're here. The episodes can be found on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. Just search for Layumacubana. There will be a playlist for Cuban history. Or you can simply visit layumacubana.com. So, flight, check. Packing, chickadee check. Now you're at the local airport, and the question becomes, to wrap or not to wrap? I know it's common practice to pay 15 or 20 bucks and have some guy cocoon your luggage with plastic. However, after the first couple of visits to Cuba, I quickly realized the futility of it. If they want to look inside your bag, they'll simply remove it, although they will rewrap it. However, it's completely up to you and a personal preference. If you feel better wrapping it, go ahead and do so. On this trip, I had a carry-on, a backpack as a personal item, and 2 large, heavy checked-in pieces of luggage. I neither wrapped nor locked them. Once I got home, I opened the bags and I found a slip from TSA notifying me that they had inspected my belongings. Things were a little jumbled up, but everything was accounted for. Some additional notes. The airport in Havana may only have 1 or 2 conveyor belts. So if your luggage does take a hot minute to come out, that is not a cause for concern. It is merely an indication of a country's pace. Another note, valuables. Things such as any electronical equipment, your laptop, tablet, any jewelry you might have brought. Make sure that you keep that either on your person or your carry-on, something that's going to be with you at all times. As well, if you have all of your attire inside of a checked-in luggage, put at least 1 clean outfit inside of your carry-on. In the unforeseen event that your bag should become lost or delayed, everyone loves clean underwear, and an extra toothbrush wouldn't hurt either. I say this because there was one time that my luggage was delayed and it took 2 days before I was able to pick it up from Havana Airport. Once you land in Havana, take note of which terminal you fly into. If you're coming from the States, it'll probably be either number 2 or number 3. The reason I mention this is because these 2 terminals are not that close in distance and there is no shuttle to transport you. So you want to be able to tell your driver when you get ready to head back which one you're flying out of. After that, pretty standard. You're going to go through immigration, you're going to pick up your luggage, and then you're going to exit the airport. If you arrive early enough and the currency exchange boxes are still open, take that opportunity to change out some money. You don't have to convert all of it, but maybe a portion of it. You're going to need cash to take the taxi to your accommodation. On this particular trip, the exchange rate was around 12% at the airport. Even if you go to a bank in the city, they're going to charge you 10%. So it's a minute difference. Take your time and count to verify that the amount received matches that of the receipt before exiting. If you are approached while you are standing in line, someone offering you 5% to change out your money on the black market, I would strongly advise against it, unless you are with someone who can validate the authenticity of the bills. Other than that, it's not worth the risk. Also, small denominations are key in any third world country. Coins, ones, fives, tens. $20 bills are easy enough to use and get change for in the States. However, here if you buy an helado, an ice cream, or a pastelito de guayaba, or a churro, delicious, and you hand someone a 20, they may not have the necessary change, and so no ice cream for you. Taxi! Lo siento. I am very sorry. You are not going to be able to summon an Uber or a Lyft from Havana Airport. Although I have seen the Uber stickers on the classic cars and it's quite humorous. On average, to take you from Havana Airport to wherever you're staying, whether it be Havana Vieja, Central Havana, or Vedado, the average will be anywhere between $25 to $30. Negotiate and agree on the fare before you actually get inside the taxi. This will avoid any misunderstanding. If you booked an Airbnb or a casa particular, write down the address on a note card. Because remember, you won't be able to access your email on your cell phone. And make sure you write the complete address. For example, Calle Tercera entre 10 y 12. 3rd Street in between 10 and 12. It's a grid system. It would also be a good idea to write down the phone number of your host. In the event that you are unable to locate the house, your taxi driver should have a local Cuban cell phone and can make a quick call to find out how to navigate the rest of the way. At last, you're in your Cuban casita. Your host will more than likely ask for your passport so that they can enter the information in their logbook. If their English permits, they may explain a little bit about the functionality of the house and the surrounding area. If your host is unable to communicate well in English, speak whale. Very slowly, with patience and love. Hey Dory, would you please show them what I mean by speaking in whale?
Whale, okay. Maybe a different dialect.
Yeah, for sure. Try a different dialect. If not, use gestures or draw it out Pictionary style. At this point, enjoy being disconnected from the Matrix. Bueno, this concludes episode 8, travel and packing tips for Cuba. May your trip here be a pleasant and a memorable one. Until next time, take care. Cuídate. Ciao. Besitos.